Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I am here to do the mid-year Freakout update. Some people call this a tag because it has prompts, but I'm not tagging anyone. I didn't get tagged, so I'm just going to say this is an update that anyone can do if they want to. There are 15 questions. Now, originally, the questions sort of indicate over the entire year, but I'm sort of modifying it. I will be talking about books that I read in the previous quarter. So anywhere from April 1st to June 30th is I will limit my choice of books between them when it is appropriate for the question. The first question: best book you've read so far. I'm going to break this down into fiction. I'm picking The Fisherman by John Langan. This is a short horror novel about a fisherman, about a man who uses fishing to cope with the grief of his wife who died young of cancer. And it turns really creepy into a cosmic horror story when he invites a colleague from work who also lost a family quite young. And this colleague thinks he has a solution for that. Wonderful cosmic horror story. I was truly impressed. For best nonfiction, I'm going to pick Sandy Hook, An American Tragedy and the Battle for Truth by Elizabeth Williamson. This book is still up for the Booktube prize. I'm not a judge right now, but I read this book just in case I'm going to be judging the next one for nonfiction. And I have to say, this is just a very good book that everyone should read. On the surface, it deals with the tragedy, the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. But it's not about really guns and death. Well, it is, but it is about Alex Jones and other people who tried to turn this into a hoax, saying that people did not die at Sandy Hook Elementary, that children did not die, that the parents who were grieving for their dead children were crisis actors. And the fact that people could actually believe this is just mind-blowing and devastating, that people will fall into these conspiracy theories and believe whatever tripe some idiot on the internet spews out. Now, I am an idiot on the internet spewing my talks about books, but hopefully you can understand the difference between me praising a book and me saying that an event did not happen. It is the best nonfiction by far that I have read for the Booktube prize. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but excellent book. And it is well worth reading because we should be more aware of what our words on the internet can say and how we can influence people, especially if what we're saying is false and that we know it is false. And third, best reread for me is Butcher's Crossing by John Williams. This was read for June on the Range. This is the story of a young man from New England who goes to Kansas in 1860s to experience enlightenment in the Emerson tradition. And he decides to go on a buffalo hunt with a man who says, I know a secret ravine, or so say valley in Colorado that's filled with buffalo, and it is prime hunting, and they're going to make a mint. And this is just a devastatingly beautiful and horrible novel at the same time. It is beautiful because of the way it is written, and it's horrible because just the brutality that these men do to the buffalo. And the characters, I mean, he has really good characters. There are four main characters. There is the young man, there is the buffalo hunter, there is the skinner, and there is the Buffalo Hunter's sidekick, and each of them have very good characteristics, and you get interested in their lives, even though they're not likable people for the most part. This is not a book for women characters. There is one woman character. She is a prostitute. She features minor plot points, but magnificent book. Question number 2. Best sequel you've read so far. The Heretic by Liam McIlvaney. This is a direct sequel to the book The Quaker. The Quaker is an historical police procedural set in 1969 in Glasgow, Scotland. And The Heretic is, as I said, a direct sequel. So you have to read The Quaker first before you read The Heretic. And The Heretic is set about 6-7 years later after The Quaker. And it follows a detective inspector who comes back to Glasgow after being exiled for a number of years. Not exiled, well, exiled is, we'll just go with exiled. Exiled for a number of years to London. And he is looking at the body of a man who's been found dead. But there are some very unusual circumstances about his death. And it also follows the story of a tenement fire and how all these plot lines come together. And it is just an excellent police procedural. Prompt number 3. New releases you haven't read yet, but want to. Okay, let's go with Our Share of the Night by Marina Enriquez. This is a novel translated from the Spanish. It is listed as a horror novel. It is set somewhat between London in the 60s and then to the years of Argentina's military dictatorship. And it's about a father and his young son on a road trip dealing with the death of his wife. And that his wife had some sort of a mysterious family and may be up to the kind of things that families are up to in horror novels. The second one I want to read is nonfiction, and that is G-Man, J. Edgar Hoover, and the Making of the American Century by Beverly Gage. This recently won the Pulitzer Prize in biography, and I want to read this because J. Edgar Hoover was a bit of a bastard, but he is a huge influence in law enforcement in the United States. And I have read fictional accounts of J. Edgar Hoover, American Tabloid by James Elroy. It has him in there. So I definitely want to read this biography. Prompt number 4. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. None. There are no authors publishing books that I know of that I want to read right now. I'm not a very big reader of new releases, so that really isn't a very surprising answer. Question number 5. Biggest disappointment. I'm taking this as the book that I liked the least, and that is going to be The Heart Mender by Andy Andrews. This book was a selection for my in-person book group. I almost didn't read it because it was published by Thomas Nielsen. Thomas Nielsen is a publisher of mostly Bibles and Christian-related books. So I knew this is going to be Christian fiction. I read it anyway, and I should have known better. I should have just said, I'm busy that night and can't join the book group. On the surface, it starts with the author, Andy Andrews, working on his house in Alabama, the Gulf Coast. And he's taking down an old tree, and he finds an old coffee can filled with German, World War II German memorabilia. And it becomes the story of how that tin can got there and the story behind it. And the story behind it is talking about a German U-boat sinking ships in the Gulf of Mexico during World War II. That is a real event that I did not know exist. But the author's storytelling, he claims, it is a true story. I do not believe the author one iota. I think it is entirely made up. And it does have a Christian theme in the background. It is not super obvious. Some of the people reading it weren't really aware that it was Christian fiction, or they sort of knew it was, but didn't acknowledge it. I went in knowing it was Christian fiction from the get-go. And that does taint my opinion of the book. But still, it is not a very good story. It is very trite, very cliched. There is one character who, if you were to come up with all the cliches of a German Nazi, you would put it in this character and you'd get it perfect. So, really not recommended. Prompt number 6, Biggest Surprise, Airport by Arthur Haley. This was a book that I read with Michael Romeo's Talks Books. He wanted to read a lot of 20th century classics, and he picked Arthur Haley as a very... Hello, Teddy the cat. Obviously, the cat wants to adjust my... Okay. So, Arthur Haley wrote this book called Airport, and it is the story of a man who wants to sneak a bomb onto a plane. And it is a pretty darn good thriller for something that was written in 1968. I truly enjoyed it, and I liked it much more than I thought it would. So that is why it is going to be my biggest surprise. Prompt number 7. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? I am going to pick John Langan. He is the author of The Fisherman that I have already mentioned. He does not have any other novels published right now, as far as I know. He does have a collection of short stories, and I do want to collect out those short stories. Oh, by the way, this is Teddy's harness. I am teaching him to walk on a leash because he likes to go out, and right now he's begging me to take him for a walk, but I'm going to finish filming this first. Prompt number 8. Newest fictional crush. I don't have crushes on fictional characters. Prompt number 9. Newest favorite character. Let's go with Duncan McCormick from The Heretic. He is the detective inspector. He is a gay detective inspector. When in his part of Scotland at that time, you weren't able to say that you were gay in public. That's just not the main part of the character, but it's an interesting twist to this historical fiction. Prompt number 10. Book that made you cry. Saddest book you have read. Books don't make me cry. None of the books I've read in this quarter are particularly sad. Prompt number 11, or question number 11. Book that made you happy. None of the books I've read particularly made me happy or particularly joyful. Question 12. Favorite book to film adaptation you saw this year? I've seen no films this year whatsoever, so I have no favorite film adaptations. And I rarely, if ever, watch an adaptation. Under certain social circumstances, I'm sort of forced to watch them, but if by choice, I would never watch a film adaptation. Prompt number 13. Favorite review you've written this year? Booktube version. Favorite video you have done so far? I'm going to say that is my top 10 most reread novels. I had a lot of fun making that, going over the novels that I've reread the most. And it is one of my most popular videos this quarter. Prompt number 14. Most beautiful book you bought this year or received. Unfortunately, where I live, there's not a lot of good bookstores. I don't buy many new releases, so all the books that I get are older books, and both of these were gifts from my friend, Bad is Rad, and they're classic pulp paperbacks. Say it with bullets. Now, just look at that wonderful cover. The cover itself is telling you a story, and you can sort of get the whole idea what this book is going to be like just from this cover. It is just a magnificent cover. They don't make covers like this anymore. Publishers should. They should have real artists doing real paintings and sticking them on book covers. Another pulpy paperback from Bad is Rad is The Unorthodox Corpse by Carter Brown. And I just love that redhead. You know, she's appeared on at least one other book cover, and you can track it down in some of my other videos. But those are my two favorite books that I have, or most beautiful book covers that I have gotten in this quarter. And 15, what books do you need to read by the end of the year, or end of this quarter? There are a number of buddy reads and group reads that I'm going to be going through. Loop by Jane Thompson is going to be a buddy read with MJ for Garbogust. Sirens of Titan by Kurt Vonnegut. It's a buddy read with Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics and a few other people. We are slowly working our way through the entire works of Kurt Vonnegut in publication order. That will be in August. Also in August is Absalom by William Faulkner. This is part of the Faulkner in August group. I have read Absalom before when I was in university. It is one of Faulkner's best novels. I'm also going to be doing in September. Actually, September is out of the quarter, but I'll mention it anyway because at the end of the year, American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis. I also may participate in the Dune read-along. I have read Dune before. It is a novel that I definitely want to reread, but I do not, absolutely, positively, under no circumstances whatsoever, want to watch the movie version. Another buddy read that might be happening is Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts. That would be a buddy read with, again, Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. So that is the end of the mid-year Freakout update. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.